Get ready for a variety of cozy, spooky fall recommendations from yours truly. Hey there, welcome to Pen to Paper. I'm Leah. It's been a while since I've done a booktube video, and I thought the thing to kind of reinfuse the joy of sharing my books with you all would be to do a video about fall recommendations. But first of all, I want to give all the credit to Margaret Pinard, who on her own channel I just recently saw, she gave the title of her live video is Cozy Witchy Murder Fall Recommendations. So I'm not going to obviously take that from her. You should definitely check out the video. I'm going to put the card up there for you to go see it, because there's some great ones that she brought up, and one specifically was Babel, and I'm very curious about that one. She just did a great job of making me want to get it and read it. So definitely check out her recommendations. So I thought I would bring 6 of my own recommendations, and they're all from slightly different genres, but they all, to me, have the feeling of cozy and spooky. And for fall, I kind of enjoy those feelings or mood when I'm reading. And so I picked the 6 that I thought really captured those essences the best. And I'm going to first start with Inheriting Her Ghosts by S.H. Cooper. Now this one I found out about probably about 3.5 years ago from Jay in The World According to Jay, or unless his channel name changed, that's a possibility. But he is also the very enigmatic and amazing co-host of Paper Cuts, which is a horror podcast show where they have a variety of different horror authors to talk about their books and obviously their writing experiences. And so Jay is the one that introduced me to this book. Now, it is horror, but it's not gory horror. It's a Victorian ghost story. So anything Victorian for me has the feeling of cozy. It's just the historical era that I jive with the most, that I'm drawn to the most. So any kind of essence of that is cozy for me. And it is very, very spooky. It's probably one of the spookiest books I've ever read, actually, to be truthful. And I just loved it. I love the writing style. It kind of has the reminiscence of an older way of speaking. Of course, it's the Victorian era, but not so much so that it puts you out of the book. And I mean, look at the gorgeous, simple cover. She basically inherits her great aunt's estate, and it's this seaside manor. And she is very happy to receive this inheritance because she's looking for an escape from her life, but she doesn't understand what has come with the estate and how it could drastically change her life for the worst. So this is my first recommendation for the fall. Okay, I'm just going to stick that here. Okay, next I have Almost Ruth by Tyler Jones. And also this book recommendation was from Jay and Nikki from Dark Between Pages. Her channel is no longer active, but I believe it was from those two that I found out about Tyler Jones. And I actually still have a couple of books of his that I need to read. I just haven't gotten to it yet, which I will fix in, if not the last few months of this year, then definitely the next few months of next year, because I'm going to be changing up my reading habits. But I've got a lot of library books to go through right now that I'm determined to finish. And some of them are extremely, extremely chunky. But more on that at another video. So this one has the feeling of cozy, and it's spooky, but not overtly spooky. Kind of, there's graveyards and slightly poish undertones. It reminds me of The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. So if you've seen that movie, kind of has that feel. It's this set apart town with their own way of living, and they have very particular rituals for burying their dead. And it's about this wife and husband. Oh, it's been such a long time since I've read this, but I believe, oh goodness, the wife dies or the son, as you can see. But it left me with this feeling of dread and foreboding throughout the book, and yet he paints the story and visual so well, and it's kind of peaceful at the same time. It's very, very strange. But let's just say, there's more to the cemetery and more to the rituals than meets the eye. So if you kind of like that kind of story, this is definitely for you. Highly, highly recommend. And by the way, I think all of these recommendations I'm giving you are 5 stars that I personally give. All right, next one is Tide Pool by Nicole Wilson. This one, I can't remember where I found out about it, but I put it on my Christmas wish list, and I believe I got this last year. And it's about this young girl who, her name is Sorrow, and her brother disappears, and she goes to this little tiny town of Tide Pool, to where he has disappeared, to kind of figure out what has happened to him. So this kind of gives me the vibes of Jane Austen, but Jane Austen / Lovecraft. So a little bit of a cosmic horror, but again, not so much that it's gory, but definitely Lovecraftian and similar. I don't know. No, it's 1913, so it's not very Jane Austen time period, but it has the feeling of a Jane Austen. And she goes to the seaside town, and she's asking questions about her brother, but no one's really talking. And then there's some weird things that begin to happen in this town, and people go missing, and she's just drawn into the mystery and horror of this strange woman who lives at the top of the hill of this town and kind of overlooks everything, and you find out what's really going on under the basement of this woman's house. I loved this one. Just the world that was painted, and that dread, that sense of unease going on. And to me, it's cozy because as I said, it felt like Jane Austen. So Regency is before Victorian era, but I also really love Jane Austen. So that time period too, I feel is very cozy. And I loved the Lovecraft influence in it, or at least to me, it seemed very Lovecraftian. I've read 2 or 3 of Lovecraft's smaller short stories, and they were very unique in the way that they were written and the perspective that Lovecraft brings to horror. So that's what that reminds me of. And Austen and Lovecraft are classics, so that's why I picked it. Now, the next one I have is historical fiction fantasy. I think a lot of these have some historical aspect to it. Duh, I'm a historical author, kind of makes sense. The Dark Days Club is about a young woman, Helen, and she is going out. And she discovers that this world is not as it seems, that I believe she has powers, or she comes into powers. And so she is taken on by Lord Carlston, who is her new tutor in these ways. And this is, I believe, Regency era for sure. It's Regency era. And she is under his tutelage, and she learns that there are demons and so much more beneath the surface of what her life is about. So she was bred to, you know, go out in society, marry, but her life is completely turned upside down when she discovers these magical powers. So if you like some magic and you like that historical aspect, and again, that's all cozy for me, then this story is for you, The Dark Days Club. It is also a 5-star, my favorite series by Alison Goodman, The Dark Days Club. Now, there's one recommendation. I have the book, I just couldn't find it when I was wanting to do this video, so I don't have it here with me, but I'm gonna just stick it up there for you guys to see. It's called The Haunting of Aveline Jones. Now this one is a contemporary book, I believe, and it's actually a middle grade book. I read this because back when the Rambling Readers and I were busy doing, I believe it was like quarterly video reviews on certain books that we pulled, and this one was brought to my attention. I read it because I was part of the group and I loved it. It is very spooky. It's about this young girl, and I believe she goes to live with her aunt or her grandma by the seaside, and she makes this strange friend in town, and her life is all as not as it seems as well. She comes across this ancient journal, I believe. Again, I might be fudging some details because it's been a while since I've read it, but oh, I guess there's the theme too of like seaside, because Tide Pool is by the seaside. The Haunting of Aveline Jones is also by the seaside. I do enjoy that. And so she has to contend with this ghost and this force in her life, and I like the character of Aveline Jones. She's got a little bit of spunk, and she doesn't back down from her fears, which is a great trait for any middle grader to read about. So highly recommend that one if you enjoy coming of age, middle grade, spooky story for the fall. Now the last one I'm going to recommend, I'm a historical fiction author, and I do have one spooky read for you guys. I'm going to talk about this. This is Wisps of Gold. I did actually talk about this a little bit when I did my how to craft a deliciously attractive villain, and that's the villain that I talked about in Wisps of Gold. So I'm going to share my book with you, and I'm not ashamed to do it, but it really is perfect for this time of year. It is set during the Caribou Gold Rush of 1871 in BC, and it's all about murder, blackmail, and finding treasure. So if you love an action-packed adventure murder mystery, then this is for you. It's about Rose. She is just finishing school, so now she is sent packing up to her father up north in the Caribou region. And when she gets there, she finds his dead body. And so she goes through the task of figuring out how to relieve her life of all the earthly possessions her father left her and her inheritance, because she really doesn't want anything to do with him. She had a terrible relationship with him. He left her at finishing school and just dropped her off and left. But there's this secret blackmailer who is making sure that she finds the mystery gold vein that her father tapped into that added so much more to his riches. And what ensues is this kind of game of cat and mouse between Rose and this blackmailer. And as she's figuring this out, she kind of pulls this newfound family that she has closer together. But even there, the lines blur between friends and foes, and who does she trust? So that's what this book is about. It's a lot of fun. I loved writing it. And it's just in time for the sequel release. Now, the sequel was released back in 2018, 2019, and it's called Scathed Bones, but I'm releasing it for the first time as a paperback this October. And that one is based on the legendary Canadian serial killer Agnes McPhee, who is known to have killed around 50 miners and stashed their gold all over that region. So the sequel, Scathed Bones, is my origin story that I'm giving Agnes McPhee before she actually starts her killing spree, or she kind of starts it in this book, but that's what it is. So and that's a novella, it's under 40,000 words, very short read. You can read it without reading Wisps of Gold, but you know, if you want the full adventure, read this first. And this is now on Kindle Unlimited. And when Scathed Bones comes out, I'll also have that out on Kindle Unlimited for you guys to enjoy. But until then, you can read this first and be ready for when Scathed Bones comes out. I hope that maybe some of these recommendations are interesting to you. I love all of them equally. They're all so good. I could reread them. Like, I would love to reread these all now, but I can't. As I said, I am inundated with library books that I really need to read and give back to the library. But I would love to hear your recommendations for fall, cozy. Do you like murder mysteries? Do you just like cozy rom-coms? Like, what do you like to read during the fall months? How do you like to read? What drink do you like to have with you? Tell me all about it, and that can inspire me maybe in the readings that I'm going to be doing with my library books. Thank you again, Margaret, for inspiring me to do this video, and you've done such a wonderful job with your own video. So again, guys, go check it out. Until next time.